Hello and welcome to Infamous MCP. This is Brandon or Mutilus on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffinwood on Discord.
As always, links in the show notes. Unfortunately, no real news unless you do live under a rock, in which case Adepticon is next week. So that's news. All right, getting right into it. Currently playing. I have not played any games of MCP, unfortunately, but I did chat with Patrick from Springfield about my Asgard list.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little bit of a back and forth for a while about that. That was pretty cool. Shout out Patrick. As usual, I get the same thing. He sent me his Asgardian list as well. Are you ready for his go wide Asgardian list?
I am so ready.
All right, Mighty Thor, pretty standard.
Yep.
Thor, Prince of Asgard.
Also.
Mm-hmm. Loki, God of Mischief. Logan, the Wolverine. Lady Sif. Not exactly what I would call stretching it thin, but, to each his own. He's still way better than Josh, who had 2 6-pointers and 3 5-pointers in his go wide lists. I was like, Josh, what are you doing? But yeah. He correctly had Ant-Man and Zemo and Valkyrie. So I'll give him points for that, because that was still better than anything Josh had. He went with Toad, though, and we talked a little bit about our 2-point selection, because combined we had 3 2-pointers, and none of them were the same. I do like Wolverine in the list as a concept. I just don't think it works positionally, because the list likes to group up a little bit, because it's very centerline engaging. But you can't put anyone near Logan, obviously, or else he loses a lot of his value. Other than that, I kind of liked his list for the most part. I think he's trying to. We talked about it a little bit too. He was trying to force the sibling rivalry play, because it's a fun interaction and it's pretty good still.
Yep.
And it just doesn't. I mean, 9 points of characters to justify that combo is not worth it unless you're already doing it. And he thought that Loki 1 was good into his local meta, which is a fair point. But my list is just all about aggressive tempo, and so all of my models in my list basically either facilitate turn 1 interaction or do turn 1 interaction on their own. And so I think in the long run, though, I should probably take Scourge out of my list, because I don't see him getting played very often. Although I have enjoyed Hela more than I thought I would. I played her in 2 games at the last tournament, and she performed much better than I expected. All right, enough about my stupid Asgard list. Now, why don't you tell me about what you're playing?
I also haven't played recently, but I did want to chat about my approach to the new crises and quote-unquote the meta. There's been chat, at least on some of the Discords I read, about how long games are going and what the new crises really did to the game. The main takeaway being that games are a little bit shorter. Teams are scoring out a little bit quicker, which is both the combination of the points that the new crises, or current crises, what we can call them, add up to versus the old one, and the fact that E's are just gone. So my initial approach to E's being gone, which is really, when we talk about new crises, I think 85% of the impact on the meta is the E's being gone. It has nothing to do with the new crises. It's all about the fact that E doesn't exist.
Well, it definitely goes hand in hand, though, because by sheer logic, if you remove most of the 3 victory point missions from the game, the average will go up, right?
Sure, but I'm not trying to leverage a new mission, right, to take advantage of that as much as I am profiting from the fact that there are now 3 F-17s, and there are no E's to worry about. Right?
Yeah, they've just raised the floor in the minimum scoring.
Right. So my first take on the new meta that I took to the tournament we had last couple weeks ago was Inhumans. Because with the advent of triple F-17s, I can run the 4-1 list. And so I will explain that so everyone can start terrorizing their local metas with the 4-1, which is you go up 4-1 and extracts.
Is this where I apologize for reminding you that Quicksilver exists?
Yes, this is all your fault.
All right. Everyone at home, I'm sorry. Never should have said anything.
The premise is Quicksilver starts off in the middle, centrally deployed, within range 3 of a model on his left and a model on his right. And if you have prio, you take your extracts. You grab the center with Toad, who should be relatively safe, range 2 back. Another model will pass a power to Quicksilver, who now has 2. Your opponent goes, and likely takes one of their back points. Quicksilver then activates, steals a power from the other person next to him, moves, speedsters, using Wall Crawler to get the back point your opponent did not take, and then advances long back towards your line. So now you have 2 safe grabs, having stolen the middle and your opponent's back left or back right. You pick up both of your back, and all of a sudden you're up 4-1 on extracts. And if you can start the game 4-1, there theoretically shouldn't be shit your opponent can do about it, assuming.
Yeah, I mean, you're right behind it in that situation, because like you have to really sell out to go get your stuff. That is obviously like, playing as safe as possible.
And you're trying to shoot Toad, who has Slippery, and Quicksilver, who has Can't Catch Me. Like, you're not picking these up with people who just get one shot. So the counter to this play is, well, if I'm going to steal your back, you have to come steal mine. The problem is there are only certain models in the game that can do that. So you're either playing one of them or you're not. It's a medium mover. However, terrain has to not be in your way.
Yeah, medium move, medium base. Yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? That's what I meant.
Mover twice.
Okay,
you got it. And there's, I'm not even gonna say that. Never mind. Okay, this is me being a good, polite person.
Obviously, the long move, medium base people will do great too. But
yeah, minimum speed is medium.
Yep. A small base double long will also get there.
Now, not to forget that you're still playing Inhumans, and so Black Bolt's just chilling behind one of these.
Yes, so that's my counter strategy as the Inhuman player is I deploy Black Bolt last, and if you have a model like a Lizard or a Beast or a Black Panther, someone lined up to take my back right, for instance, guess where the tandem of Black Bolt Medusa gets to go? So you're going to double move Lizard. I'm going to daze you top of 1 so you can then feed me the extract and your corpse. There's not a great answer to that.
Yeah.
There are probably other things you can do to throw a wrench in this strategy. And a lot of it comes down to the secures as well. But that's the gist of it, right? Is you're just going to go up 4-1 on extracts. If your opponent manages to get one of your backs, you're still going to be up 3-2 because you've stolen theirs with Quicksilver.
Yeah, and they're going to be massively out of position.
Yes. And if you're playing, the list is designed to play 5 white at 17. And if you have prio, if they're out of position, you get to punish them by, if they have a model that, let's say you went into them with Black Bolt or Medusa and you didn't quite finish them turn 1 because dice are dice. You can start off turn 2 by finishing them off and then, picking up their extract, being up 4-1 at that point and then focusing on the secures. Or if they did manage to, put an attack into Toad or to Quicksilver, you activate with prio to get them to safety. So let's talk about the rest of the list, because clearly it relies on Quicksilver and Toad and Black Bolt, and now you've got 10 points. All 3 Fs that we're playing are at 17, so you need another good 7. I have, to what should be no one's surprise, Medusa. And then my 3s of choice, I have 4 of them. Beast, Lockjaw, Miles, and Lizard. And I'll explain why they're each in there. Beast is in there. So this is the core, right? If we get the Fs, we do this play and we go up in extracts. But you're not guaranteed to get exactly the scenarios you want. Beast in Inhumans has a turn 1 double move throw that requires 2 power, which he's able to turn on just by stealing 1. Miles does the same thing with his web swing. Requires a little more luck because he's going to walk, he's going to web swing onto, in this case, I'm picturing center line secures. And he's going to web line kick someone off of the point with the wild.
6 dice needing a wild,
Yep. Which is really, really strong. So I have a plan A to go up 4-1 on extracts. And then the 3 of choice that I bring, either Beast, Spider-Man, Lockjaw, or Lizard, will be dependent on what the secures need to, what they look like.
Yeah.
If I didn't need to run Medusa, I brought 2 other 4s. Nick Fury and Sabretooth, Apex Predator. They were the only 2 models that I did not run at all in our 4-round tournament.
Yeah, I like the idea of shoving a bunch of power through Apex at some point,
Yep.
but I don't know if you can really utilize him on the first turn. That would be a lot of power. Because you're almost I guess if you don't hit your reds, then you don't need Quicksilver, and then everything changes.
I only hit my reds twice, so but the other times, for instance, one of the times I got Senators, and at 19, I really liked going 6 wide. 4 threes, Black Bolt and Toad. So the list has the flexibility to go that wide, or if you don't, obviously Nick Fury can do some extract shenanigans, and like you said, Sabretooth sounds like an excellent person to pump power through.
Just trying to think if there's anything super cute you could do, like playing somebody with a steal that you could utilize on the first turn. Like, you could just take Black Cat and steal the objective they got from your side, right?
If they pick yours up, the problem is total amount of power on the
Yeah, total power on board. But it wouldn't be impossible for like Black Bolt to hit them once first and then just keep passing power to Black Cat.
The issue isn't Black Bolt's power, it's usually other people's. And everyone has to be within 3. So if you're trying to cover the left and the right flanks, if Medusa's or if Black Cat's in the middle, I'm assuming everyone else needs a power to either pick up an extract, potentially flip something. If Quicksilver is stealing, he needs 3 power. That's a problem.
Yeah, I know that's the big weight, right? Because if you only have 5 models, that means you have 6 power on board.
There's 6 power on board, and Quicksilver's got 3.
3 of it's on Quicksilver.
Yep, and I have 3 power left to pick the other extracts up. I end on 0 power with stealing the 4 extracts.
Yeah, that's why I'm just thinking you could put Black Cat basically in the middle. She could almost steal from either side. And I'm thinking Black Bolt moves forward, staying within 3 of Black Cat, then shoots somebody. And then you transfer his power to Black Cat. She walks once and steals is like what I'm trying to think of. I don't know if it works on all deployments, though.
Lockjaw was great, and I think the one game I played him in.
Yeah, because he could even teleport Black Cat if you ended up getting enough 3-pointers.
My question is, who do I mean, I used Beast, Lockjaw, Spider-Man, and Lizard in various games. I really like that foursome. So I would have to drop one of the 4s to add Black Cat to give me that option, which I don't hate, because, again, this is pure sellout for scenario.
Dude, you could, if you got Black Cat and Lockjaw on the board, I think you could steal their extract and go 5-0. I don't know that it'd be worth it, but I think you could, because it's place 3 plus move long plus range 1. I think that gets to the back F.
It might, because 2 longs get it, and a 3 is
not
and a quite lot of there, but...
Yeah, man, I don't know. It'd be interesting because it also depends on if they played safe on the back of their F, and a lot of people don't. They come forward. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Again, 5-0 is not worth gimping the rest of your list for, but could be fun. The reason I chose Inhumans as opposed to like a pure scenario list, so this is hardcore pressing scenario, but if I ever am up against a wall, Black Bolt is not exactly a scrub. Right? Nor is Medusa. Medusa slaps pretty damn hard. In the one game I played her, she was an absolute rock star. She was hitting people, she was throwing people, she was hitting her trigger. So you've got this great scenario play with your Quicksilver, Toad, Lizard. Like, in a nutshell, that's what I'd like to play. Or Miles, depending if I need the steal. Really hard to kill characters backed up with 2 absolute monster beaters. Yeah,
it makes it to where when they start chasing your slippery people, then they're getting chunked by your heavy hitters in the back.
Right. Heaven help if they're playing Infinity Formula. Like, I just collect 4 extracts on one Infinity Formula, and so what are you going to do?
You stand on your
I score 5 points every turn. You have to come into my bunker of 5 models that gets to displace you every turn, and put a bunch of Black Bolt shots into you. So that's what I did. Won all 4 games. It's really strong.
Feels very much like what Wakanda did for a while with Spirit, where they're just dominating the first turn and then coasting.
Yeah, and if you just want to win games in what I perceive as the new meta, why you're not running this list or a similar structured list with a similar game plan, I don't know. Unless you just don't like that style of gameplay and you want to play more fighty, which is totally understandable.
That's me.
Yep.
I think that the new scenario packet is going to not emphasize scoring, but almost require it. Like if you show up to a tournament for a long time, we've said it's like, well, if you're not at least considering what the meta's doing, then you're probably what we would say is like a casual player, right? Like it doesn't mean that you're not going to win games and you'll probably do fine, but like if you're not prepared to play against like the Hellfires or the the Cabal with Red Skull, and like if you're not ready for these lists, you're going to get blindsided. And I think instead of lists nowadays, it's going to be just tempo of scenario scoring. If you're not ready to sit down against a list that's trying to win on turn 3, I don't know if you're going to have a good time. I think everyone should have a package in their list that's meant to score fast.
Yeah.
Do we want to dig into the numbers a little bit? Or did you just want to talk about your list?
I don't know if we need to talk about specific numbers.
Okay. I guess I'll just sit over here. Nobody wants to hear the math.
I don't need to talk about my list anymore, though.
Okay.
Just wanted to explain the concept of what I chose and why.
Is there in Longshanks? I don't think there is. Is there any tracking of what round the game ends on?
No.
You just have to look up victory points and like do the math and figure out roughly where you think it ended. I wonder. We should probably message Red and ask him if he can add that, because I think it'd be an interesting metric to see, because I think the average is 4.
I want to say the average. I don't know. I wanted to say the average is going to be like 3.9, but it might be 4.1. But yes, you're absolutely correct. It is right around 4. I just don't know if the 3s or 5s are going to be more dominant. Like my games were ending 2-on-3 and 2-on-4. I don't think that's average, though, right? That's average for me playing the scenario team I'm playing.
Yeah. You're playing a get up early scenario team. Like you should expect your games to be shorter, obviously. I can't remember. I think I've played one game in the last 6 months that went to turn 6, and they only went to turn 6 because like everyone died on turn 4 and on turn 5, and so we just had like 3 models left. Is the only reason we went to 6. But looking at the raw numbers, so obviously Researcher went away. That was a potential 2 victory point mission, and then all of the E's went away, which were mostly 3 victory point scoring missions. So looking at the range of potentially 5 to 11 maximum victory points per round, barring like weird stuff like Legacy Virus getting assembled, it's basically now a 6 to 12 or 6 to 11 victory point range. And I think if I'm looking at this data correctly, the average number of points is like 9 on the board.
I think it's 8.5 to 9. It's basically 1 point higher than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. I'm obviously very against the faster scenario scoring, and I've said that a bunch of times, so I won't harp on it too much. But what is your opinion of our current viewpoint of the meta? Because we could obviously be wrong, right? Like maybe we're
definitely on one edge of the curve in terms of thought, right?
Yeah.
I think we're correct in the assessment of what is currently strong. I don't think that means it's unbeatable. Like even if I took this list to Adepticon and played in the whatever they're calling World Champions of MCP, I would expect to do well, but I would also expect dice variance to be bad in some game, and shit would just happen. So I don't think attrition is dead, and I think we tend to overharp on the, well, if you're not playing X, you're just not serious. Like, well, you can still be serious playing the style you want to play as long as you accept that you're at a 45% win rate instead of a 55. And I don't think that difference is enough to warrant turning yourself off of the game, unless the next 2 to 3 months shows us that it's not 45, it's like 30, right? Yeah. If scenario whoops up on fair teams, and then you have to counter with super tall, which I don't think is super viable anymore. So then you have to counter with your anti-scenario, which is what? Your own scenario? Then are you forced to take Steelers just to counteract so you can stay in the game long enough to get your attrition going? Maybe. Is that the end of the world? I don't know. So I'm still in the interested phase to see where the meta goes in 3 months. I don't think we're wrong, but I think maybe we're a little too negative. It's my own opinion.
I think the section of the game I enjoyed playing the most was right after Malekith got his first nerf. I think that to where Malekith got his second nerf, with the exception of Thanos and CGR was like my favorite section of the game. I think it was the right amount of fighting for my preferences. And I know that's more so than a lot of people prefer. But I felt like I could put a list together that I felt like I could have the ability to like table my opponent if in case I got into a bad spot. But obviously CGR was bad game design. He's unfun to play against, and he's just a lottery machine. He's going to win or lose the game based off random dice rolls and not really decisions characters make. But yeah, I think the second nerf to Malekith was way too much, and I think Thanos was able to run wild for way too long. And I think CGR was a bad idea from the get go. But other than that, I think that section of the game is what I view as like the prime of the game that I enjoyed the most. And so what we're looking at now is so far removed from that is why I get so frustrated. Because I feel like so much of the game I play nowadays is just, run directly at enemy. They run directly away. Game ends. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't really get to do anything.
I still enjoy the every tabletop game is for me. It's about the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
We're all trying to get to 16 and or table someone. How am I trying to do it? How are you trying to do it? I do X. You counter with Y. You should kill me, but you don't. How does that change both of our strategies? So constant, mental gymnastics on the fly, and nothing about the current meta has changed that. Right? It's still fun. It's still interesting. If the game ends up getting solved in 2 months, then that'll be kind of sad, right? Because then the puzzle kind of goes away, and you just follow the playbook.
Yeah, I don't enjoy the scenario puzzle as much. I don't find it as engaging. I feel like so much of it is, just calculating the odds of like, well, I can go get this point. Odds of I don't die and give it right back is like X, right? And so you're just making that choice, and MCP laughs at your odds. So it's only so valuable, right? And when you're already at the mercy of RNG on both sides, I prefer to at least smashy things. And so I find even when I'm having a bad game, I enjoy the smashiness, and so that's why I drift towards that aesthetic of my list usually.
Yep.
But I still enjoy a lot of the mechanics of the game, and I think there's a lot of great things about the game. And so I don't mean to harp on it too much, but it's, I feel like the lists I want to play are definitely not encouraged at the moment. But we'll see. I am still intrigued by several of the new missions. I don't think their mission design is poor. I just think their desire for game length is much different than mine.
Sure.
I want 6-turn games, and I think they want 4-turn games.
The only 2 new missions I was running was Terrigen Canisters, because it was a 17 on an F, and Inhumans are immune to poison, at least the good ones. And Wedding Party Targeted. I never got to actually play Wedding Party Targeted, but that was in my list for Secure if I had to.
Is that the Mayor Fisk-like?
Yep, it's Fisk-like.
Okay. Yeah, I played that one once. It was fine. I don't know. It just obviously it's going to end up in refuse flanks so often that I don't know that. Because I just talked about I like longer games.
Yep.
And so it actually does encourage a longer game because it almost forces a 2-2 split in most turns. And so because of that, you're almost mandatory going to get to a later turn. Because even if you go up 4-1, well, 3 turns, that's only, 16-ish points if you go 4 turns. And that means you have 4 extracts while doing it.
Well, now all my secures are when I go second. So I have no idea what the extract scenario is going to be with my secures.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying as a general example.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So that way, even if my opponent gets a leg up on extracts, if I'm on that blue, I at least can force a game out of it, which I like. But because of it, it's like a slow bleed game though. So even though like I get to play longer, so many of my activations are pointless because we're so far apart. So it's interesting. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm excited to get at it some more. I very much like Inhuman Weapons over Paranoia. I think it's a much better mission. And Deadline to Destruction, I'm very confident that I can say this and be absolutely objectively correct. Nigel was wrong.
Okay.
Nigel was insane. That mission is fine. Nigel is like the kid with a gun, and he's like, I don't know how this could end well. I'm like, well, don't put yourself in that situation. Like, what are you doing? It was very funny.
Yep.
All right, so neither of us are playing MCP at Adepticon currently. I might still sign up for something I haven't decided yet. But mostly I'll be recording games as usual. I usually don't play into too many events at Adepticon. I usually just like to relax. It's kind of like a vacation weekend for me.
Yep.
If you were playing, what events would you play in? Assuming you had infinite time.
That's a great question.
That's why they call me Brandon, asker of great questions.
Assuming that it was just an MCP weekend and there wasn't anything else competing for the schedule, I would probably do like the big championship tournament. I think there's 2 heats for that, so I'd sign up for both those. I would run timelines. As much as I think timelines is, as much as I think AMG has their head up their butthole more often than not. Like, why are the old missions good for timelines, the new missions good for the other event? That's just fucking asinine.
That's beyond ridiculous to me. I can't believe a professional company did that.
However, I would still show up to the convention hall and play as many fucking games as I could, and then the events are the most easily guaranteed way to do that. So yeah, I'd sign up for everything and I'd play everything like I've done in the past.
Would you play your Inhumans list you're working on right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would bring that right now to the championship event and see how well I could take that. I would have no expectation. I would probably go 4-2, I think, over a 6 round. Maybe 5-1, but realistically 4-2. I think it's super strong, but I also, like, right now have very little recency with the game itself and that list particularly. So I would need to practice it, but with practice and potential tweaking based off of matchups, I think it could win.
I think my Asgard list is very fun. I don't think it's very good. I just don't think it competes at the same level. I think it's, like you were saying earlier, it feels like very much a 45% list, but it's fun to play. So I'm having fun with it right now. Because it's, like I was saying earlier, the parts of the game I enjoy the most are usually like the turns 4, 5, and 6 of the game in a very like brawly, scrappy way. And so all that my list does is just bring those 3 turns to turn 1, 2, and 3 because the whole list just runs at you at full speed.
Yeah.
It's like I'm putting Ant-Man on people's back Bs and attacking them on the first turn and, charging everyone on the midline. And it's always fun to see people surprised that every one of my models attacked on the first turn. They're like, what are you doing? Like, I'm killing you. Get over it. Yeah. I think if I wasn't playing what I'm playing right now, I would probably have been practicing Apocalypse. Because I like the intricacies of that kit and how, like, the Rube Goldberg machine of moving all the stuff around, and I like playing big, powerful models. So I think that could be fun. That's probably the thing I'm going to immediately after I get done with Asgard.
I still think my unaffiliated list has some pretty long legs.
Which one's that?
Thanos.
Oh, just with like
I would run unaffiliated Thanos, probably Power Soul, maybe just Power.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 Balder models, starting with OG Panther, Nebula, and Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you really have to get the right scenario to make that team work. The good news is you have 6 other models you can put in the list to do whatever you want with, right? Like, you can turn that into a Wakanda list. You can turn it into Cabal. Like, you can do a lot of different things with that core of a list and Thanos.
Yeah.
Because of all the shit that got nerfed on Thanos' card, Desticree was one of them. So
murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cabal list, it felt like they were targeting him because that's the only place he's played right now, right? Like, Thanos is like the one model in this game that always has one home at all times. Like, even though that home changes a lot, it's always one home. He's like, originally it was Black Order, and then it moved into Guardians, then it moved into Cabal. Like, it's always the one spot, though.
Kill Conda was always good.
Yeah. Like, Thanos Wakanda was a thing for a while. There's always a place, and there's like Thanos X-Men was a thing for a short period. There's always a place for him, and it's like everyone knows it, and then it just slowly rotates through the game until because they never nerf him. They always nerf the shit he plays in, and so he's just like a traveling nerf bat, just walks through the game. And so finally, they actually hit him, but they didn't actually nerf any of the shit he does. Like, he still kills everything. I mean, he still fucking fits in Cabal.
They nerf quite a bit.
Yeah, no, they did bring him down. They did bring him down a lot, but they didn't nerf what he's there for, which is to kill everything.
It depends on the list.
Right? I mean, obviously, having board control on top of murder is great, but they didn't stop. Like you were just pointing out, like Desticree's still there. Like you still get skull crits. Like
Oh,
you still
having
kill
to
everybody.
pay to use the Space Stone in reality outside of Black Order
Sure.
is it probably drops him from every splash except what I want to do with him, which is
Yeah, you already
just
playing affiliate.
power him up and just use Desecrate as much as I can. And guess what? Soul and Power don't need power to work, so
Yeah.
nerf's on you, buddy. So yeah, I really think trying to build an unaffiliated list with Thanos would have a greater than 50% win rate. I really think it's that good.
Yeah,
So
I could see that.
that'd be my next project if I wanted to do something other than hardcore scenario.
I talked to my sales rep this week for Asmodee. This is a peek behind the curtain. And so she's telling me, oh, by the way, the Gladiator boxes finally got, the shipment arrived. So we have them in stock in the US finally. It's like, oh, that's perfect. So we just in time for Adepticon. And she's like, yeah, we're shipping it out today. This was several days ago. I talked to her. And I was like, cool, we'll have it like midweek. And this is like in Adepticon's name until next week. It's going to be like 10 days before the con. And then I start checking on their website, like, oh, they actually changed the release date to Saturday at Adepticon. So they've created a problem that wasn't a problem for no reason, because they could have just not changed the release date and it would have been out on time, basically. It would have been a week late, but like, who cares?
Well, devil's advocate.
Sure.
Like if you have a big con coming up and you have a, let's call it major release prior to the con, and there's a blip in your supply chain somewhere, and you don't know what that's going to do to where maybe some stores are going to get it on time and some aren't, you really don't want people to feel left out because they couldn't guarantee that it was going to hit everywhere at the same time.
Sure. I think that's a fair thing. But I think they made the situation worse by what they did. If they wanted to fix it, they should have just said, Gladiator is not legal. The missions are, because you can print to play them. But because they've done this, now there's going to be people with Gladiator that can't play him. And I think the people with Gladiator is going to be everyone who wants him. Everyone who wants to play Gladiator will be able to get their hands on Gladiator before the con, I think. Is what I expect to happen. And then they're not going to be able to play him in maybe an event they wanted to. And that kind of sucks. Now, the missions or whatever, but this whole thing has been very confusing and weird. And I'm not happy with how they handled it. I think it could have been done much better. Oh, anyway, the whole point of the story. I was asking her, get everything ready to ship. And she asked me, did you want the new releases for this week? And I'm like, what do you mean the new releases? She was like, yeah, we got new stuff this week. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. What is it? And she's like, we have the new Nebula and Gamora box. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, it's a brand new box with Nebula and Gamora. I'm like, is Nebula and Gamora 2 coming out and nobody knows? And it's like this secret release. And she's like, yeah, blah, blah. And she's like giving me the blurb and everything. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And apparently there's a Guardians affiliation box too that I never heard about. I just missed it. I wasn't paying attention, I guess.
With CGR.
No, that's not that one.
Oh.
That's the first one because it's Groot, Rocket,
Star-Lord, CGR?
Star-Lord,
yeah, that's right.
and CGR. And there's a second one with fucking Nebula, Gamora, Drax, and Ronan that I'd never heard about.
I think I saw that.
So yeah, I just never saw it. And so she scared the hell. I was like, is there new stuff coming out I didn't know about? I was very excited. Nebula 2, I bet she's a 3-pointer. Like, just immediately my mind started running. It was fun. All right, so next week we'll try and do some Adepticon preview stuff. We talk about like what we expect to happen and everything. But you heard it here first, folks. Aaron doesn't want to play MCP, but if he did, he would have easily gone 6-0 and won Worlds with his Inhuman pile. Everyone knew it.
Man, you read between the lines pretty well.
I do. I'm really good at reading the in-between. I even read under the lines really well. Parker says it's my prescience ability. It's really good. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we get out of here?
Yeah, so in honor of Jeremy,
you got something to tell us?
I have an issue. Yes.
Oh.
People keep messing up entomology and etymology, and it is bugging me in ways that words cannot possibly express.
I don't know what either of those words mean, but I really think I do now. Just want to point that out. It's one of those context things. Like I'm good at reading between the lines.
Entomology is the study of insects, and etymology is the study of words.
See, I'm very good
Did
at
you
reading
get it?
between the
Yeah,
lines.
okay. I wasn't telling you. I was telling our listeners who were still
I know.
staring
I
at the
think-
radio.
I think they still got it. Don't worry. I have one for you. Do you know who works at the dam?
No, I don't, Brandon. Who works at the dam?
The dam employees. Jeremy would have liked that one. That would have been Jeremy's favorite joke.
It's not better than mine.
No, yours was very good. I have to send this to Jeremy now. Are you sending yours to Jeremy?
No.
You have to, though. That's how it works. You have to message, or else they're wasted.
Oh, unlike you, I respect Jeremy.
Ooh, that's not true. Why would you lie about that? That's even less respectful that you just blatantly lied. Oh, man.
I mean, the man said he doesn't like dad jokes and he doesn't have chlamydia. I believe him on both counts.
You can't say that you believe he doesn't like dad jokes when he laughs at half of the dad jokes, and specifically the bad ones. I still can't believe he laughed at the bleachers joke. Do you remember that one?
No.
Why are baseball players' pants white? Because they sit on bleachers. He laughed at that out loud on the podcast.
He must have had one too many before he started.
Yeah, I guess. All right, cool. Did you actually have anything you want to chat about other than torturing Jeremy?
No.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hopefully you had a good time. We're going to try and get an episode out next week before Adepticon, but due to travel and everything, we might not be able to, but I will post if we are unable to. So expect an episode unless I say otherwise. This has been Brandon.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to It's Simply Inhuman.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.